Okay, here, I unmuted. Got it. Thank you so much. Can we hear? Here, I unmuted. Got it. Thank you so much. Can we hear? Okay, so just waiting for everybody to join. Thank you so much. We are on day 3. Just making sure I don't have any text messages for people ready to join. Look, I'm wearing my prosperity necklace. My husband got this for me in Singapore 20 years ago, probably. So I'm wearing it for you guys. Now we have a couple people that are joining in late today. No worries. Please let me know in the comments if you are not getting the emails, if you don't have the ebooks to download, if there's any other way that we can support you to make sure that you get what you need to take advantage of this full experience. So the first day was really a teaching day. I talked a lot about the 5 elements of wealth. I talked about prosperity consciousness. We learned that 5 elements of wealth is, here we go. We'll just put my phone on airplane mode. 5 elements of wealth are mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, financial is the 5th element. Mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, and then financial is the 5th element. These are the 5 ways that we can be resourced. And what I know and what I've witnessed is that a lot of women like to skip this step. They like to focus on the results. Specifically, if you're a high-performing, ambitious woman, you might be focused solely on doing a good job at work or for your performance review, or if you're an entrepreneur, you might be completely focused on just business results. And so what I see is that women come, I'm in these groups of masterminds with other coaches where women are having a breakdown because they're not getting the results they want, because they haven't taken the time to slow down and really get clear about why they want it, where they're going, what they need to do. They're not prioritizing themselves. So how many of you are really good at putting everybody else first? So they're not good at prioritizing their health, their well-being. So they have low energy. They're feeling stressed, they're in overwhelm, and maybe even lacking intimacy in their marriage or their kids, just deep connection and relationship with the people, with their loved ones, or maybe even outside of that circle. So I talk a lot about how there's 3 breakdowns. It's either in health, wealth, or marriage. And this is why it's important to be resourced. So that is why we are here together today on day 3, is to allow ourselves to be resourced. So the first day we talked about those 5 elements of wealth. We uncovered our money origin story. What did we hear growing up? What were the words that were used? Something's too expensive. We don't have the money for that. Did you grow up with scarcity? Did you grow up thinking that you have to work hard for money, right? Like that's a big one for a lot of us. So just getting really clear on what were some of the things that you were taught around money growing up. We explored our relationship to receiving, like how well do you receive love, support, compliments, even nourishing foods? How often do you have a healthy relationship with food, or do you sabotage with food? Do you sabotage with love? Do you sabotage with money? And all of those relationships point back to, what is the sabotaging behavior within me? What is causing that sabotaging behavior? And that led us into the 7 saboteurs. Let's see if I can remember them. The martyr, the fixer, the saver, the tyrant, the free spirit, and the people pleaser. So understanding how that sabotaging behavior is showing up in your relationship to money, it's showing up in other relationships, maybe the way that you nourish or don't nourish yourself. And just noticing, like, what is the pattern that I notice about myself, and how are the people in my life reflecting this back to me? Because every relationship in our life is a reflection back to us on our inner belief system. So we talked about the art of receiving. I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into that today. We identified our money saboteur, our money origin story, and our money blocks. So there were 6 categories of money blocks. The biggest one that I see in the women that I support is hard work equals success. And this runs really, really deep in our culture. We have this like sort of badge of honor that busyness means we're important. And as long as we're busy, we're important. What that does is it keeps us from stillness. It keeps us from, it's vulnerable. It's vulnerable to quiet, to spend time with ourselves, to actually ask ourselves, like, what do I need? What do I need? So, just kind of noticing those patterns, because a lot of times our extreme independence, our survivor patterns, they've gotten us really great results. Yet, I hear women say all the time on the verge of a breakdown that they're overwhelmed, they're exhausted, and they don't have energy. They don't have clarity. Their relationships are surface and they're feeling unfulfilled. So this is what we're rewriting this week. Today is our last day. I am going to be available tomorrow for Q&A. So we'll talk about that at the end. I have to just get clear on that time, looking at my schedule tomorrow, but I believe it's going to be the same time we're going to do Q&A tomorrow. So today we're going to talk about 3 things: the art of receiving, the shame spiral, because the second biggest money block is that I've noticed in the women that I've been working with. And by the way, if I didn't say this, I'll say it again. Every single woman in the last prosperity course brought in more income, whether they were an executive or an entrepreneur, got a raise. Kim got a 20% raise. Deborah Lee raised her rates. Jana and April both invested. Jana invested in a second home. April invested in property in Portugal. So all of the women are taking ownership of their relationship to money, first by clearing cash clutter, getting super clear on their relationship with money, getting clear on their sabotaging behaviors, beliefs, and mindset blocks, because money is just a reflection of our inner belief system, just like health is, just like our relationships are. Everything is reflecting back to us what we believe about ourselves. And so that is why women are so frustrated when they're hiring other coaches, or it could be a weight loss coach, it could be a business coach. They're not getting the results they want because they haven't been willing to do this type of inner work. It goes beyond mindset. And we're talking about the embodiment piece, really shifting not just the thoughts, not just the heart, but that deeper knowing somatically in the body of where we want to go, and feeling it and trusting it. And this is why prosperity consciousness is embodied trust. It's that really deep inner knowing, even when the results are not there. So the top 2 money blocks: hard work equals success, shame around debt. We're going to talk about that one today as well. And then some other money blocks are: money isn't spiritual, wealthy people are greedy, it's not aligned with my values, and just overall mindset blocks that we've created about what it means to be wealthy, or to have money, or to even value money. Because money is an amplifier. So whatever we believe, the more money you get just amplifies the person that you are and your belief system. So we want to enter a relationship with money when we're investing in something from a place of trust, not from a place of scarcity. We want to enter from a place of love, not from a place of greed, because that's the energy that expands. So if you have that belief that wealthy people are people who have money or think about money or greedy, you're absolutely wrong, because I'm not saying everybody, but most people, what it does is it amplifies our voice and values in the world. So you get to invest in a gym, you get to invest in your health, you get to invest in organic food, you get to take care of yourself and your health. You get to take care of your family. Maybe choice is investing in higher education, or maybe this year it's a vacation, but that money gives you choice and freedom to say, this is what's important to me. And so that's why it's important, because it's an energy exchange. And I know all of the women I work with are conscious, purpose-driven women. that care about the world, that care about their family, that want to show up from a place of thriving in their family and out in the world so that they can support others. What's happening is that we're putting everybody else first, and then we're getting exhausted. So I talk about the spring, right? The spring from earth that's naturally resourced. We have to thrive from the inside out. This is where it starts. That's what 5-element wealth is. So today we're going to do 3 things. We're going to dive into the relationship to shame, because we've already talked about hard work equals success. That was the one that we focused on in January, and you can listen to that bonus class through the link in your email. We're going to talk about the spiral of shame. We're going to talk about 8 new feminine wealth archetypes that I've created. This is brand new stuff. It isn't totally together. It's not even in the prosperity course yet. So we're talking about it today. And so there's 4 archetypes and their shadows. And so one of the shadows is the saboteur. We know the 7 saboteurs, which a saboteur is like a shadow, but I thought it's important to talk about when we know we're in our healthy relationship to money. So how did I come up with the words sovereignty and prosperity as my words of the year? I started to think like, well, that's actually an archetype. The sovereign queen is an archetype. What is her shadow? Well, the sovereign queen is the wise woman. The shadow is the maiden. It's the free spirit, the one who doesn't want to take responsibility. So we're going to talk about those today, and we're going to talk about the art of receiving. So thank you for being here. If you're catching the replay, you have any questions, let me know. I want to invite you all to close your eyes. If you're not driving, of course, begin to settle in. This is where we begin at receiving, is with our breath. So breathing in through the nose and then out through the mouth. Everything begins with the breath. Breathe in through the nose and expand the belly. And then exhale through the mouth, contract the belly. This is our first invitation to receive. Breathing in, receiving life force energy through our breath, expanding the belly. Expand the rib cage. Pause for a moment at the top, and then exhale slowly all the way back down and contract your belly. Welcome a little movement in the head and the neck, side to side. Roll the shoulders up and down. Tuck the chin to your chest. Create a little space in your throat and your shoulders. Continue breathing with the rhythm of your own breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. This helps to regulate the nervous system. So one of the things that we're going to cover today is the art of receiving. And receiving is multi-dimensional. And what I mean by that is, it's not just a physical experience. It's not like somebody hands you something and you say, and you take it physically. There's actually an energetic opening that says, I trust in this moment to receive. Every breath is an opportunity to receive. Every exhale, an opportunity to relax, to integrate. So receiving expands upon integration. What I mean by that is, it's not just a one moment thing. When we're receiving energetically, we're saying that we trust, we allow ourselves to open to receive. So notice right now, as I say the word, or as you say the word to yourself, receive, what does that mean to you? How well do I receive in my life? Do I receive compliments? When I sit down to eat food, do I take a moment to slow down and be like, oh, yes, this is an opportunity to nourish myself? Do I allow the nervous system to settle so that the food that I'm eating can be properly assimilated and utilized as energy into the body? Or am I eating in my car or on the go? What are my behaviors? How well do I receive love, support, hugs, physical touch? How comfortable am I receiving in my life? Does it feel uncomfortable to receive? What does it say about me if I vulnerably open up to receive? How can I be a strong woman if I'm receiving everybody's help all the time? And the truth is how can you not? It takes a lot of strength and grace to allow yourself to be supported. It takes a lot of courage, especially when we're so used to being independent. So what is one area of my life that I am willing to open to receive more? Maybe it's beginning with when somebody gives you a compliment saying, I'm receiving that. Maybe it's just using the words, I'm receiving that. The other day I shared how I met with a friend for tea and she said, I'll get yours. And I said, thank you, I'm receiving that. And she was like, wow, I really like that. And I was like, yeah, it feels good to receive. Whereas in the past, I'd be like, no, it's okay. I got you. I'll get it. So just kind of noticing, like, how does all that show up for you? And so quiet the mind for a moment, just being aware of how receiving shows up in our life. Recall a moment when you allowed yourself to receive support, maybe your cup of coffee, a nourishing meal, love, money, a gift. How did it feel in your body? For some of you, this might be hard to connect to. And if it is, be curious about how it might feel to receive. What is a way that you would like to receive? And what will it feel like, or what does it feel like in the body? Does it feel warm or cool? Relaxed? Full? Peaceful? So just noticing what it feels like to receive. And if this is hard for you, then the invitation is to expand upon this after this class. And so in this moment, just taking a hand on your heart, hand on the belly, receiving this breath and connecting with that feeling in your body of receiving, expanding upon it by just saying the words, I'm open to receiving in this moment. And then exhale to release. Just gently fluttering the eyes open. And just noticing what it feels like to be present in this moment. So we're going to move into the feminine archetypes, and I am really excited to share this. You've probably, let me just, already noticed that I have changed the names because I'm just playing around with it. So if you've been in my retreats before, if you've done my courses, you know that I like archetype work. It's interesting. My younger daughter is reading White Fang for homeschool, and part of her assignment was archetype work. And I was just like, it starts at a really young age. And I have always loved archetype work because it shows us the different sides of ourselves. And so I have feminine leadership archetypes that we just did in our retreat in Hawaii. I have the embodiment archetypes, the feminine embodiment archetypes that we did at our retreat, which is the picture here that you could see in Florida. And I really, really love the archetype work. And I thought, as I just completed this prosperity course, I started to realize, well, what about when we talked about the saboteurs? What about when we're in our healthy place and relationship with money? Because we need to celebrate that. So I came up with these 4 archetypes and their shadows. So the first one is the sovereign queen. And I'll go through, I'm going to just list them out and I'll go through each of them. The shadow of her is the maiden. The second is the lover, kind of the giver. And then the shadow of her is the seductress. It's almost like the manipulator, or the one who gives her power away by not being authentic. So the lover's a little more authentic. Athena, which I had warrior, is the warrior, the one who fights for her time, right? I was thinking one of my values is time freedom. And so being more protective of my time is where I can really tap into Athena, whereas I used to really overgive my time. And then on the other, her shadow is the victim. So on the opposite side is the person who feels very disempowered, like can't change anything. And then what we tapped into in our retreat in Hawaii was the creatrix. So when we get to a place of really feeling empowered with money and our relationship to money, we become empowered, which Deborah Lee shared on Monday based on her experience. We start to create new offerings, new opportunities. And the shadow of that is the saboteur. We just sabotage everything that is available. And we look at what's not working versus what can I create to allow myself to be supported. So let's talk first about the queen. The queen shows up when we're in that prosperity consciousness of trust. I talk a lot about how prosperity is embodied trust. So the sovereign queen, okay, so what is sovereignty? Sovereignty is that inner knowing of having the authority over your choice. It's being the source of your time, your money, your energy, your decisions. It is taking full ownership of your path. It doesn't mean that we're in control. The sovereign queen knows that she takes aligned action aligned with her values. She is energetically aligned, and the wisdom piece comes in when she is able to trust enough to release the attachment. She's not in control and she knows it, because that would be the tyrant. She trusts. This allows her to let go of anxiety. She's a visionary, so she sees the bigger picture. This is what I talk about in the prosperity course. It's the idea that money amplifies our voice and our values. It's not just about us. So for example, in my business, I'm able to put a 10 grand deposit down on a house in France because I am resourced. That's a huge investment. It's a big risk. Being resourced in my business allows me to do that, which then creates an opportunity and experience for the women I get to serve. So we go beyond and we give back. It's giving from a place of overflowing. In our prosperity course, the prosperity course is very much centered around the sovereign queen. She is a visionary. She is sovereign. She trusts. She lives in embodied trust, prosperity consciousness. And she is willing to create, through that vision, a legacy. She wants to create an impact. She knows that she creates an impact in her community, at her workplace, and in her home, and she takes ownership of that. So she takes ownership of the fact that she knows that as a mother in her home, she is the tree of life. She takes ownership of her gifts and her value at work. She takes ownership of her gifts, her skills, her talents, and she allows herself to be resourced by the fruits of her efforts. And what I mean by that is she's not willing to overgive. She is aligned of what serves her and what doesn't. She creates healthy boundaries of discernment. She doesn't people please. She doesn't step into the saboteurs of fixing, people pleasing, any of those saboteurs, free spirit, tyrant, controller, because she trusts. She has a very powerful energetic presence, and she's able to radiate that out. And this is, the Sovereign Queen is one that I love to step in. And in my last prosperity course, every single woman brought in, increased their income, whether they were an executive, whether they found resources that they didn't know they have, or whether they raised their rates because they were an entrepreneur. Because what you put your energy on, what you put your intention on, what you put your focus on expands. So if you put your energy towards the belief that there's never enough, that's going to keep expanding. If you put your energy into trust and look at what is working, that's going to expand. If you take that leap of faith and you raise your rates, all of a sudden you raise your rates, you got new clients. You take that leap of faith and you leave this law firm over here to create the one that's aligned for you, all of a sudden abundance comes in. These are the things that are happening. So the Sovereign Queen is really about alignment. She's the visionary. She's about trust. She sees herself as the source, time, money, and energy. We all have the same 24 hours in the day. We all decide how we get paid and how much we get paid because we agree to whatever somebody offers us, or we decide what to charge our clients. We decide who we work with, or we decide how we're going to show up at work. In other words, how many hours are you going to work, or how hard are you going to work? Do you feel valued? She's only in a place where she feels valued. So that's the Sovereign Queen. The Sovereign Queen is the wise woman. So the wise woman we talk a lot about at our retreats. So you can see the connection there. So on the other end of the spectrum is the maiden. Now I love the maiden. At retreats, the maiden is joyful. She is fun. And her saboteur is the free spirit. She is immature. She's bypassing. She thinks, oh, I'm just going to manifest and everything's going to be okay. And it's just going to be magic. I'm just going to surround myself with these people over here, but I'm not going to do anything. And then maybe the results will come. She's trying to leech off other people's energy. She doesn't take help. She doesn't take support because she actually wants to be saved. So she has a little bit of the victim consciousness. She's extremely emotional. So she buys with emotion. And so then she'll have buyer's regret, or she'll constantly question herself. She is not in trust. She has a lot of anxiety. She's a people pleaser. So the saboteur, the people pleaser, really comes in with the maiden. She's very like a chameleon, like she'll change a lot. She doesn't stand in her own sovereignty. She's doing what she thinks other people want her to do. She doesn't speak her truth. She's extremely sensitive energetically. So I've done a lot of podcasts on this. I've been through this myself, the wounded badge of empathy. So she might be the healer or the coach or the coworker or the leader who just takes on everything. And if we take on everything, if we take on all of everybody else's problems, then we are not sovereign, because we are just whatever everybody else is around us. We're like the tugboat versus the lighthouse. The Sovereign Queen is the lighthouse. She stands as a pillar of light to guide others. The maiden is just looking for the light source and willing to just shine wherever she goes and just spread her light. And that's great and wonderful. And then what's left for you? So that's the Sovereign Queen and the maiden. Next, we're going to move into the lover and the seductress. So the lover is authentic. She is earthy. She is grounded. She protects her time because she loves herself first so that she can love others. She is the source of her time and money. And when we think of the love languages, she pays attention to those things. She gives time and effort and energy to her relationship with money, to her spouse, to her children. She is intentional with time, so quality time. She only chooses from a place of joy, different from the maiden. The maiden is doing what she thinks other people want, and it's happy, but it's bypassing. The lover is like that inner joy, like, no, that's not serving me. I love myself enough to know that that's a no. And this is my yes. She nurtures herself. She's aligned to 5-element wealth. Mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, financial. She has all of these elements in her well-being are important to her. She commits the time to take care of herself. She has healthy discernment and healthy boundaries because she loves herself. She knows what she needs. She's authentic. She loves with no expectation. She gives with no expectation. The shadow of her is the seductress. So we can think of how, as women, that archetype that manipulates, that says what they think other people want to hear, that gives her power away, kind of like, even a prostitute who would give her power away. If you've done archetype work before, feminine archetypes, that's one that comes up. It's like we totally give ourselves away and then we lose ourselves. So the lover gives from a place of self first. The seductress is giving everything away to be loved. So totally different. It's external validation first, and she gives her power away. So she's disempowered. She uses disempowering language. I can't, I don't have, I'm too busy. She's not the source of her time because she says, I'm too busy. Well, if you're the source of your time, you don't say that because you're choosing what you're doing with your time. Busy just means misaligned. So she's clear in her actions, her words, her credit card, and her schedule. I'm sorry, the seductress is not clear in her actions or words. Her credit card and schedule don't reflect her value. She's kind of all over the place, kind of like the maiden, but the maiden's bypassing from a place of joy. The seductress is insecure. She has a lot of shame. There's a lot of shame in the seductress. She doesn't trust herself. She's probably been taken advantage of before, and she doesn't trust others. She does things that are out of alignment just for approval. So she'll spend money for approval. It's a little bit of a people pleaser, or even if it's just on her image for approval. So, you'll notice that we all go through life tapping into these different archetypes when we're making decisions with our money. There's a podcast I did, and I don't know all these numbers. Are you a conscious investor or unconscious spender? Are you in creator consciousness or consumer consciousness? Are you consciously investing in your life in every moment, or are you just unconsciously making decisions? The seductress is unconscious because she's doing it from a place of needing external validation. And she makes a lot of sacrifices because she doesn't actually know what she wants. We're going to move into Athena, who's a little bit more of the warrior. She's the one in her healthy self. She's willing to fight and protect her being the source of her time and her money and her energy. So she has very clear boundaries. I am not available for that. That does not serve me. And it doesn't mean anything about you. It's just that I know what serves me and what doesn't. She sets boundaries. She is assertive. She owns her power. She owns her schedule. She never says I'm too busy or I can't or I don't. She's very using powerful language. I did a podcast on disempowering language. She's always using powerful language and owns that she's the choice of her decisions. She's able to support others. So, like that, she's a leader. She's definitely the leader because she's the Athena, the warrior. And she is strong. She's powerful from the inside out. She has integrity with her word, integrity with her time, her energy. Everything it's protective, but in a healthy way. So in my business, it's like, I don't work with everybody that comes across. If I don't think I can serve someone or they're not aligned with me, it's a no. It has to be aligned. It has to feel aligned and joyful. So she has integrity with her word to herself and to others. So she's authentic to herself and her needs. She's decisive and clear, lots of clarity, very decisive. She knows that her decision creates momentum. And even if it feels like the wrong decision, she takes ownership of that. What looked like a mistake, she knows just gave her clarity on what doesn't work. So she doesn't beat herself up. She's moving forward. She's always moving forward onto who she's becoming. She's willing to fight for what's important to her. She's willing to fight for her values. She's willing to take risks. She's willing to invest in herself. She's willing to take ownership of the experience, and she's willing to take risks. She owns that she's the source of her time, her money, her energy, and she is resourceful. So if she doesn't have it at the time, think of like the warrior on the field, right? You got to feed people. It's like, how can I get what I need to go where I'm going? And the shadow of her is the victim. The victim wants to be rescued. She doesn't take ownership of her time, money, or energy. She thinks she's waiting for somebody to save her. She's waiting for Athena to come save her. And she's immature. She uses disempowering language again, always focused on what's not working, projects and blames a lot. So I see this in others. I have two business coaches, and sometimes I've witnessed this. I'm in circles where somebody isn't happy with the results they're getting, but they're not taking ownership of their own experience. Every time a person steps into a coaching relationship, it's important to know that every individual takes self-responsibility for their own experience. That's the empowerment piece. If somebody saves you, that's just enabling the victim. So a really good coach or mentor empowers others to rise up, not to save them. So the victim uses disempowering language, patterns of avoidance, projects and blames others. And so think about, what is the time where maybe you've tapped into the victim around money? Maybe allowed yourself to get taken advantage of. Maybe you, like the smallest thing, you get a meal at a restaurant and you don't send it back if it's the wrong thing. That could be a small way that she shows up. Maybe you give too much of your power away by letting yourself have too much support, and you don't believe in yourself enough. So the victim doesn't believe in herself. She believes in others more than herself. Sometimes her emotions can show up as angry, resentful. That anger, even shame, projection. The seductress usually taps into a little bit more shame. The victim's a little bit more anger and resentful. And she can be a perfectionist. And then when things aren't perfect, she's like, oh, like I'm not good enough, goes immediately into that. So the last one we're going to come to is the creatrix and the saboteur. So the creatrix is, again, the source of her time, her money, her energy, and her creativity. So for example, you've heard me say, if there's an opportunity to invest in something, instead of saying, I don't have the money for that, which is saying I don't have the resources, it's saying I'm not choosing to be resourceful. You say, what am I willing to do? Or what can I create? Or how can I find what is available to support me in order to move forward and make this choice that I know I want? She doesn't use time or money or energy as a reason not to do something. She knows she's the source, just like the queen. And so she is the source of her creativity. So she's creative. She is resourceful. whether it's planning a family vacation, planning a dinner date with a family member, with a child, or supporting your kids in what they want to do, planning a date with your husband, finding the resources, the money, the time to invest in something that's super important to you, like programs like I offer, or a vacation with your family, or any certification, a yoga certification, anything, a writing mentor. I'm thinking of the things that a voice coach, some of my clients are investing in. She is energetic. And because she is energetic, energy flows through her, creativity flows through her, and it's contagious. So that creative flow, that energy is contagious, and everybody around her thrives, just like the queen. Everybody around her thrives. She has the ability to tap into like that extra source of energy because she's resourced. She's well fed, she's well nourished, she's well rested, she's well supported. And because she is resourced, she has that extra creativity. She's intuitive, extremely intuitive, insightful, sees synchronicities all the time, and just kind of laughs and just knows that of course that's happening when this is happening, because that's just the way it is. She doesn't question synchronicity or her intuition. She knows that that is truth because she trusts. Trust is the path to unveiling your source of intuition. She's the creator and the source of her time, money, energy, and creativity. She doesn't take things too seriously because she knows that if something feels like it's moving away, she can create something new. If something isn't working anymore, she creates something new. She feels connected. She's intuitive. She trusts. And she doesn't worry about what people think, because that would be a block that would keep her from tapping into her creativity. So last, we're going to move into the saboteur. There are the 7 types of saboteurs: the people pleaser, fixer, martyr, tyrant, saver, victim. And I'm not sure if I just listed them all. Yep, I think I listed them all. So those are expanded on. You can see sabotaging behaviors within all of these shadows. And I thought of the word saboteur just because this is the person who, instead of being the creative source, they just choose to destroy everything. They just destroy. Like, things could actually be working for this person, but they actually choose, kind of like the victim, they literally choose to focus on what's not working and just sabotage relationships. They'll have somebody in their space that is willing to support them, and they will find a way to sabotage that support. They will find a way to sabotage love. They will find a way to sabotage their bodies with unhealthy food or alcohol. They just are unable or unwilling in the moment to fully receive because they're missing self-love and self-worth. They procrastinate, they put things off. They get trapped in cycles of procrastination, overwhelm, people-pleasing, avoiding, really big sabotaging cycles that run super deep. They never have enough time or money or energy to do anything they want, are not connected to their intuition. They're very much in their thoughts, always thinking their way through things, very judgmental, don't receive help, don't have deep connections, angry, sad, project, blame, avoid, creates overwhelm. Busyness makes me important. And so everything that they think they have to do is actually costing them everything that they want. Meaning they're trapped in that cycle of overwhelm and they're not willing to slow down and see that it's not working. They need tangible evidence. So they're the analyzer, they overthink. They have to get a result to believe that something worked. They have to lose 10 pounds to believe that eating healthier is actually worth it, versus seeing the bigger picture. They want a result right away. They're focused on the results rather than trusting the journey. They're very, very much in their mind, in their thoughts, because that's their protective mechanism from trusting. They're overachievers, extremely independent, don't allow themselves to receive support, not willing to consciously invest in themselves. They could spend money on other people, but not themselves. And they people please, control, and micromanage. So that is the saboteur archetype. So I want to ask each of you, which one resonates with you the most? Both in the positive and the shadow. And ask yourself, how do each of these archetypes show up in my life, in my relationship to money? Maybe you're really good, and maybe business and personal shows up different. So go through each of them and just say, how can I connect to this one in my life? Where is she showing up? Which one do I resonate with the most? Which one have I noticed is creating a block for me? And what am I learning about myself? How do I sabotage my relationship to money, or how do I expand my relationship to money based on these archetypes? So I'm going to touch a little bit as we close just on the spiral of shame, because shame shows up a lot in the seductress. It was the second biggest block that came up from the 6 money blocks. And what I want to say, and I don't have this with me to share, but if you're not familiar with David Hawkins' work, he shares the, and those of you that have done my 5-element wealth course, when we talk about the energy body, we talk about the frequencies of emotions. And he has a scale of energetic vibration that is connected to each emotion. And shame is the absolute lowest vibrational feeling that we can have. So the invitation here is, if you notice that this block is one for you, sometimes it can feel really heavy. It can feel really hard to dig ourselves out. So this is where it's really important to grow and expand that relationship to money. You can do this by going on a money date, writing a letter, doing a completion letter. If you're new to those things and you want to know more about that, ask a question, or listen to the bonus classes that are in the email that you can connect to from previous classes where I shared about money wellness, money date, and embody trust. But shame can be really heavy, and then it keeps us from moving forward. And so if you're in the space right now and you feel like you're not moving forward in your relationship to money, or you can't identify with anything, be curious around, was there an experience in my life where I trusted or I invested and I believe that shit just hit the fan and it didn't go my way? Because that can create shame, it can create lack of trust, and it can create a block on moving forward. It might not be the block, but just kind of notice if you feel that super heavy feeling inside you, where did that come from? Perhaps it was a divorce that you went through and you had to pay a bunch of money. For me, it was a business partnership where I lost a bunch of money because I trusted a person who was untrustworthy more than myself. And so there was this piece of like, how could I have not trusted myself? How did I not listen to myself? And I tapped into victim for a moment and was like, how did this happen to me? Can I even forgive myself? I can forgive the other person, as horrible as it was. Can I forgive myself for being so blind and stupid? And so that's how that talk can come up. Or maybe you invested in a house and you lost a bunch of money. Or maybe you invested in a program and didn't get what you wanted. So when we see patterns like that, we get to choose to shift that. What can I see that did serve me? Did it give me clarity on what doesn't work? Or is there a way to really explore how this did serve me? So thank you for joining today. I am going to close with, please join tomorrow for Q&A. If you're watching the replay, I do have one more thing to share, which is ways that you can just continue to expand on this. So if you are Oops, one moment. Trying to Facebook Live and Zoom at the same time. So if you're totally brand new to me, people always say, where do I start? And I would recommend that the 5-element wealth program is the place to begin. We build a relationship through the 5 elements of wealth throughout the course of 6 months to a year. And the cost for that is $7,000. With that comes the retreat, which I have a new retreat offering called Wellness, Wisdom, and Wealth that will be in November 2nd and 3rd. And so that is included with that course. From there, because the 5th element of well-being is prosperity, usually my clients move into prosperity. Now, somebody who's already done a lot of self-work, who's already a coach or a holistic doctor, may already have a good foundation for their health and may be ready for prosperity, which is a lot about healing the relationship with money and intimacy and allowing ourselves to be resourced. What I want to share that I have right now that is super special is that you guys know, if you have my journal, I talk a lot about living in the feminine flow of life. And I really value time and financial freedom. And so in the way that I work, I change what I offer throughout the year so that I can just, in order to keep things fresh for the cycles of life. We are moving into summer. So for some of you, a lot shifts with your families in summer. So what I'm offering for the next 2 months is a resourced VIP day. This can be in person, meaning you can fly to me, which I have done many, many times before. And I haven't offered this since before COVID. I did a couple of private VIPs on the road last year, you may remember. But this is where you would fly to me, either here or when I'm out in California, and we would do a full in-depth, all-in VIP day. So it's 7 hours together. It's 8 hours together, but there's an hour break. Completely created, unique to you based on what that block is that you believe you are experiencing. We can do divine healing. We can do emotional freedom technique, movement, archetype work. So whatever it is, that block that you're experiencing, if you just feel super frustrated and stuck, this is for you. I'm offering 4 of them. It's a full day. We're going all in, custom created just for you. This is for you if you've worked with me before, or if you're brand new with me, if you're ready for that next level of expansion, or you're the type of person who's like, I don't really want to commit to a long-term commitment right now, but I'm ready to sort of go all in and experience a major shift. This is for you. It includes 4 weeks integration and weekly coaching with me plus a boxer. So you're going to have 4 weeks of follow-up coaching. So this is really for the person who is just really ready to create a big shift. You're wondering why you haven't welcomed in your soulmate yet. You're super sick and tired of being sick and tired. You really want to heal your relationship to money. Maybe you want to leave your corporate job and create your own business. That it would be for the person who's really ready for a major shift. Maybe there's a big change happening in your life, like in your family dynamics, whether it be divorce or children leaving home, and you are just like, I don't know what's going to happen when this happens, but I know who I want to become and I need help getting there. That's who this is for. It also includes the prosperity course. The prosperity course, next one is going to begin in August. So if you sign up now, if you sign up early, what you get is monthly coaching calls, extra coaching calls until August. Once August happens, we go every week. Actually, we go 3 weeks on, 1 week off, because it's a total of 3 months. And then we end that prosperity course with the Wellness, Wisdom, and Wealth Retreat, which will be in Jack's Beach. That is included in the prosperity course. Now, for somebody who's like, I don't want the course. I just want to kind of dip my toe and see what it's about. I'm kind of ready to heal my relationship with money, but I don't want to do the weekly calls. I don't want the weekly support. I don't want the extra coaching. Then the retreat would be for you. There are 16 spots left for the retreat, only 22 spots total. I haven't released it to the public yet. So 22 women will come together and we will move through all of these. You will leave the retreat feeling more clear, more confident, more resourced. breaking patterns, transmuting old stuff such as fear, doubt, overwhelm, busyness, and really, really digging deep into who you are. We'll talk about feminine leadership archetypes at this retreat. We'll talk about the wealth archetypes. We're going to explore your sabotaging behaviors and patterns. Going to get clear on the vision, the legacy you want to create in your life, meaning how do you want to show up in every part of your life? So these are different ways that if any of this speaks to you, you can continue to allow yourself to be a resource. Then, of course, the final way, because I know some of you that have been listening all week have worked with me over the years, you've done 5-element wealth, which is the North Star Collective. You've done prosperity. You're coming to the retreat because you were already in that course and it was included for you. Then you are invited to the Embodiment and Energy Mastery Circle, which is a full year and includes both retreats, which I haven't shared publicly either, but that Mastery Circle retreat will be invite only for the people that I've worked with in France for spring of 2024. That will be the Mary Magdalene retreat. It is going to be tapping into the Queen, the Mother. It'll be more of a spiritually centered retreat, tapping into the divine feminine. So those are ways that I can continue to support you. And of course, you know that if none of this speaks to you, but you're looking for something more specific, that I am very resourceful in sharing the amazing resources that I have to support you, whether it's hormone health or becoming a writer or a speaker, as some of the things I'm helping other women that I'm working with right now. So thank you for joining me all week. Join me again tomorrow at 12 for Q&A. And if there is anything else that I can support you with, let you know. Have a great day.